What is up, App Nation? It is Steve V. Young, founder of appmasters.com. Got a lot of things trying to host and produce at the same time. Very difficult, my friends. But welcome to our weekly Friday live streams where we really break down what's working in the app space, bring on a really intelligent app marketer to really help you grow. And for me, to stay sharp and learn about what's new in the app marketing space. And today we're going to talk all about product-led growth. How do you sustain revenues, especially during economic downturns? Our guest today, Lomit Patel, is a full funnel marketing and growth leader with experience scaling startups like Tynker, which is currently where he's at, Roku, TrustedID, Texture, and IMVU. And he's also a public speaker, and I've seen him at a lot of different events. So if you go to the app marketing events, you'll see him there as well. Advisor, he writes on Forbes, pretty neat thing, HackerNoon, and he's the author of Lean AI, part of the best-selling Lean Startup series by none other than Eric Ries. So without further ado, let's bring in Lomit Patel. Lomit, welcome to the show.
Hey, Steve. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're a neighbor as well, so we should be just doing this live. All right. I want to say hi to a few people that showed up early. Nurex is here. What's up, Nurex? And then we've got Mary as well. Peter, Luis, Peter again. We are doing great. Good to see you. And then Miguel, and then Musa Turan, that's a new name. So good to see you, Musa, on LinkedIn. All right, Lomit, let's talk about product-led growth. Actually, let me start with this. Something that I've been thinking about, because we've been thinking about product-led growth, because we have a very simple app that's doing okay, pretty decently, about 10,000 a month. And then we're like trying to figure out, okay, what products, what features should we build? When do you think it's the right time to start considering product-led growth? Is it from the very beginning, or is it like, hey, after you've sort of done like product market fit?
I would say, product-led growth definitely happens once you have product market fit, because then you kind of know that people actually value your product, right?
Okay, good.
but the key part about product-led growth, I think for the most part, the earlier you can kind of put it into your overall growth strategy, the better, because it kind of becomes a really strong foundation on which you can lean on growing the business more organically, versus needing to lean more heavily on paid, which generally, is a challenge, right? With a lot of companies, especially when based on different economic situations, and the more you're dependent on paid, that then it becomes a challenge, right? When the cost of acquiring customers continue to go up, and if you have that strong foundation in place where the product actually becomes the growth engine, and you can drive more users around organic and word of mouth, then you've got a really good foundation to really sort of layer paid on top of that, versus needing to be highly dependent on paid versus organic.
Yeah, I completely agree. Is product-led growth? Okay, this is a dummy question. Is it just another way of saying, hey, like build some viral components within your app that lead to word of mouth, referrals, and so you're building features that will essentially drive growth? So like word of mouth referrals. Is it simple as that?
It's as simple as that, but ultimately, if you think about it, what really gets people to engage with those types of features is really if they really love your product, right? So I think the core of product-led growth is to really focus on being customer centric and building something that the customer is going to continue to value and love. And as people's perceptions on products and stuff continue to evolve and change, right? So what you may have product market fit with today won't necessarily be the same thing, let's say a year or a couple of years from now. So continue to have that feedback loop on your customers consistently, so that you continue to build that relationship and continue to know that your users are continuing to value what you have in your product. The more you're able to sort of engage and get that feedback and continue to take that feedback and innovate the product to continue to make it more customer centric, where users continue to value it, then the more they're likely to engage with those components where you can build more virality and share it into the product.
My buddy Jordan's here. He says, "Sup, Steve? How does Lomit define product market fit? Like, what thresholds, what metrics does he look at to determine if there's product market fit, so that you feel confident leaning into product-led growth?"
So for me, when I look at product market fit, I think ultimately the thing to look at is, do your users really value your product? And there's two ways they can either value it. Either they value it with their time or with their money. And so, the first thing to kind of look at is engagement data in terms of like, are people, how much time are people spending in the product? How much are they engaging with different facets of the product, and are they actually coming back to the product as well? Because the key thing is, if the product was to go away, are people going to actually be upset or not? If they're going to be upset, then they actually value what's in the product. And once you sort of focus and build engagement, and however you define that engagement, it could be around people spending time in the product, people coming back to the product, because different products have different ways of, some products require people to come in daily, some could be weekly, some could be monthly. So depending on how you how you define engagement, that's important. And then the second part is ultimately, once you have product market fit, you want to be thinking about how you're going to monetize those users. And the question there is, depending on, how you want to monetize them, whether it's through advertising, through subscriptions, or through in-app purchases, just try to put some components into the product to see if people are even willing to pay for it.
Are there some low-hanging fruit, like in terms of features? Here's some features that every app should build to help drive that growth.
I would say low-hanging features are things that I hear a lot on this show and some other shows, which is sort of the basics around onboarding, right? Because if you don't get people onboarded well into your product, for the most part, the way to think about it is user attention continues to diminish, right? And so the time where you really have people engaged is when they're first sort of getting into your product. And so the whole registration and onboarding experience, it's really important to try to figure out really quickly how you can get users not only to register for your product, but to start using that product, whatever that could be, and remove as much friction to getting them to do that first time user experience where they can experience some kind of wow around, this product has some value. So, but a big part is really doing the onboarding experience. With some products, it could be a matter of asking them some questions or some quizzes to really figure out, what their objective is coming into the product, and then trying to set that up so that once they complete registration, you've got something that is tailored to be a little bit more personalized to them, or at least it speaks to them, so they feel like, that, wow, this has something that I'm looking for. Or it could be doing the onboarding to really sort of provide some kind of tutorial to really sort of explain what the product's about, so that they have some expectations coming into the product on what to do next. That's the biggest thing. Depending on the product that you have, it's always good. Once somebody gets into your product for the first time, they should have some level of understanding on where do I go next, right? And not just feel kind of stuck.
I like it. I know Yeva will like that. We talked about it. She's the PM at Headway. Love that app, by the way. And we talked a lot about onboarding, and I've been thinking about that onboarding too since that conversation with Yeva, and being like, make sure every onboarding experience engages users. We really broke it down, Lomit. But after the onboarding, personally, I feel like, okay, product market fit, like monetization, is the app making money? Are people converting high enough? Right? Then you're like, okay, there's a need. And then the things that I'm thinking about from a features perspective are like simple things like streaks, like, could that help we're going to talk about this a little bit, community, right? So are there things around that, like the posts, once you get them into the app, are there other features that you felt like one can increase engagement? Streaks maybe have social shares like badges and stuff, and then like adding that community component, because then people get really engaged, or anything beyond that?
So I think, you know, when you talk about streaks, that's really important, right? Because the idea is
Feel free to disagree, by the way.
yeah, no. But what I was going to say is the way we've sort of done it at Tynker is we call it missions. So basically, I mean, to be honest, you know, learning to code, depending on different kids, it could be either really fun or it could be kind of a dry and challenging in subject, right? So in order to try and make it fun, you know, we try to come up with these different missions, which is pretty much different linear paths of different projects that need to be created to earn different rewards, similar to what you were talking about, right? There's some kind of rewards around completing different tasks, and the fun part about that is, for the most part, at least for our users, you know, kids really value those rewards, those intrinsic feedback that, you know, earning badges and points that they can redeem for different prizes and rewards, as well as kind of getting that validation within the community of, you know, that this person is doing pretty well. So, you know, I feel, you know that's important. But the other thing that we found that's important too is, you know, for people that may find it hard to get started, you know, how can we make that easier for them to get started into the product? And one of the things that we sort of introduced into Tynker since I've been here is this element of live coaching. And by that, it sort of follows the playbook of what a lot of SaaS businesses do when they have customer success managers. But the difference is we have these you know, highly trained teachers, you know, that are pretty well trained on how the Tynker product works. And so the first thing that we offer anyone, and most people take this, is a free coaching session with a live expert who can help walk them through the product and help them get started on those missions. And that really helps, because even though, you know, it seems like, you know, there might be some additional costs, but the fact is, you know, a lot of the teachers that we work with are based out of India, and they're really highly trained and educated. But you know, we're able to kind of provide that experience and still be able to, you know, bake it in and be profitable, because, you know, the fact is, the more people we get started engaged in using the product, the more they're likely to stick around. So having that hand holding has really helped us. And it's been something that differentiates us from a lot of other coding platforms.
I love that. Okay. After a kid has done a mission, are you doing anything to encourage the kid or parent to share this out or drive growth? Okay, we got them engaged. Great. Ding. And then what else next? How do we get them to actually like help us grow and get more downloads, get more users in?
Yeah. So you know, one of the things that we've really been trying to do is we've automated a lot of these progress reports, so parents get these weekly updates on how the kid is doing in the product. And I think that, you know, for me, in, you know, being a parent, you know, that's a sense of pride to sort of know that your kid is learning and growing, and generally that's where the parents are more likely to kind of share that or tell people about the product, like, hey, this is great, you know, like little Johnny is started using Tynker, and wow, he's really, you know, getting excited to be, you know, learning to code on Tynker versus maybe spending time playing some other game or whatever, right? Because it's kind of like a gaming experience,
right?
That and then with kids, for the most part, you know, a huge part of, you know, what we try to encourage is kids to create these different projects and then to share them in the community and get feedback from other members in the community to help them to kind of improve on that. So it's kind of like asynchronous learning to a certain extent, where a lot of other kids love to share these projects. And so that ends up creating a flywheel in itself within our own community, because it gets them more social validation from other kids. But also a lot of kids that we find love to share a lot of their content on social sites as well, like YouTube, about, hey, this is what I'm creating on Tynker. So we do kind of make it easy for them to kind of social share it. Yeah. But a big part of it is, they see other kids doing it. So it kind of helps sort of create those habits for them.
Yeah, I love that whole like see other kids doing it. One of my favorite apps that I've been using is called Zero, intermittent fasting. And they used to have this, but they took it away. Let me see. Yeah, it used to say, well, one, there's streaks, right, at the very top. And then it used to say like X amount of people are fasting at the same time. And for some reason, Lomit, like it gave me like a dopamine hit. Like it made me feel like part of a community. And it's these small little things. And I've seen Flip do this too, another app that's like a study timer for college students, primarily just students, high school and college students. And they're like, hey, here's how many people are studying at the same time as you. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I really do like it.
Yeah, I mean, for us, one of the things that I found, obviously, marketing to kids is different from marketing to like 18 plus. But
yes.
but one thing that's really sort of blown my mind away is just how creative most kids are. Like if you kind of give them the tools, for the most part, they will find a way to figure it out, or they will reach out to peers within our community to help them. And the fact that we have live coaching as well, that's another component for them to kind of, learn and grow within the product. But, once they get started, for the most part, there is something about, the kids, at least the ones that, that use Tynker, where they love to kind of share stuff, and kind of get that feedback. And for the most part, that's the thing I would say is one of the glues that keeps kids coming back, because it's not just, you're going on this journey by yourself. You're going on this journey with so many other kids, right? And everybody starts at different at different levels. So there's it's really about sort of finding your own sets of people within the community to help encourage you.
One of my favorite subject lines that works all the time is you are not alone. And it is a human psychology and human need that we need to feel part of the community. Here's how I think about like virality or product-led growth. I'm like, one, have users. Like, people start thinking about it like, oh, this is going to be the feature that goes viral. I'm like, bro, don't put the horse before the carriage, or whatever that's saying. It's carriage before the horse. It's like, have users first. Two, make customers look good, right? Like, and you kind of talked about this, like simple things like this, calm. And I was like, look, after meditation, I wanted to just see how many people are sharing it. And you could see tons of people are sharing this daily calm, Crossy Road. You can see, people are sharing this type of like quick little, you died and then how far you get, top score. Like, people are sharing that. This is what you talk about, Lomit, like the weekly status report. So this, again, to Zero. They don't do this anymore though, but it's a weekly email I get. And it's like, hey, you fasted. Look at your longest fast, 20 hours. Tweet this. So I was like, hey, is anybody tweeting this? So I just checked, hashtag fasting with Zero. And you can see like there were a ton of tweets just going on. What do you think about these things?
No, I think all of those are great. I think the key part around all of these things, at least the way, for us, was to initially sort of, build these things, and sort of do these manual pulls with data to even see if people were value in it. But once we found that, the engagement being like, how many people were, when we send these emails, the open rates are like really high. Click-through rates are really high. Sharing rates are really high. We knew we were onto something. Then the next question is, how do we productize this so that we can automate a lot of this? And we get all, a lot of this data, lives within us, a database. So then the question was really sort of, building these templates around whether it's email or in-app or push, and just feeding those with different components of how, progression and certifications and stuff were happening for different kids. And now that it's all automated, for us, it's not really that much of a pull. It's kind of rinse and repeat, and it kind of works by itself. Then it's just a matter of just looking at that and figuring out what else do we want to add to that mix, right? Or what else can we do from a creative standpoint? And so, I'm surprised when companies, like you and I talk about these things, seem like they could be working, but I wonder if they've kind of not taken it to the next level, which is to try and automate these processes. Because if you keep trying to do these and there's some form of manual processes involved, it can get really taxing as the scale grows on the business.
Yeah. Do you think that things like this have like diminishing returns after a while? Like maybe the first couple of we get a dopamine hit, and then after a while, it's like, okay, I get it. I'm fasting a lot. Thank you so much. Maybe it's maybe that first week or first month where it's most critical. And then after a while, like, okay, I get it. I start deleting those emails maybe after a while. I don't know. Just wanted your opinion on this.
I would say it's different for different people, but the key part, ultimately you got to kind of look at the entire kind of customer journey and life cycle, right? I mean, the key is really to increase lifetime value, whether that's people spending more time in the product, spending more money. And, and you have to kind of break that up because, there may be some diminished returns where people will be highly engaged with this, let's say in the first 30 days or 60 days, and it will start to taper off. But that's also an early signal, to figure out, so if this isn't working, what else can we do to continue to engage our users? And so, for us at Tynker, we really value sort of, continuing to do this, because when you start seeing, you kind of have baselines, right? And then you sort of see trends, whether they're going up and down. It's kind of a signal to figure out, hey, we need to do something else, because ultimately you got to build a lot of these things into the product, but you got to figure out, like, how do you keep bringing people into the product as well?
Yeah, I love it. Charlie, give him a couple points. Come on, host. Give him a couple points to Lomit. Hey, Lomit, one of the things, share what you want to share. But I've been wanting to do this for a long time on the onboarding sequence, and I see Tynker is doing it. And I was like, you know what? How do we take Blinkist's paywall that they've shared, and how do we use that rather than use it for actual paywall, use it for push notifications? And you guys are doing it. Do you have any data on this that you want to share, or do you want to keep it private? Completely up to you.
I mean, what I will share, what I will share is the fact that we're doing it and it's still there because we run a lot of experiments. Clearly it's working well for us. And for us, what I will say, and I think for most companies, the earlier you sort of put that into the onboarding flow, the more likely that someone is willing to sort of give you those permissions, right? And what we found, doing a 7-day free trial, and this wasn't just from like looking at Blinkist and anybody else. We also asked our users, like, what was your biggest concern, about doing a 7-day free trial? And for the most part, it's forgetting, like, if they don't like it, and getting charged. Right. And so, we kind of ran different mock-ups of that, through user research, and we found, ultimately, what Blinkist did was great, because for the most part, that's kind of what people want, and so, for us, it's really led to really high opt-in rates and gives us another way to continue to like engage with users with push.
We should give it to Headway. Yeva's here. Headway did this. All right, Yeva. Sorry. Yeah. All right. The last thing I want to talk about is the community aspect. Look, forgot to mention at the very top, but Tynker's got 100 million kids. It's the largest community for kids to learn how to code. So talk to me about community. When did you guys was it at the core of the business when you first started, when you guys were like early on, or was it something that you kind of gradually threw in there? The community aspect of it.
So Tynker's been around, predates me. I've been here like a year, right? But it's been around for over 10 years. And I think, the founders were super smart because, community was kind of built in right from the start into the product. But the big difference is, people may know this or not, but we have over 150,000 schools that use Tynker. So we have, that's kind of where Tynker started. It started in schools. And so there was huge awareness for Tynker within schools, like 2 out of 3 schools, I think, in the US use Tynker. And so then the idea was, how do you build on that? And that's where I think, a lot of the community aspect came in, because, a lot of kids, what we found was that they were looking to continue to use Tynker outside of school. And so, it was a natural fit to sort of, build them into, feed into this whole community where they could engage with kids, not only within their own school doing Tynker, but outside of school. And, just like anything, it's continued to compound and grow as more and more kids. It creates kind of that flywheel where kids ultimately love to learn from other kids tips and tricks on how to get better at Tynker. And the more and the more that other kids have continued to engage and stay part of the community, it's just created the whole viral and word of mouth where more kids get to tell their other friends about it. And it kind of becomes part of like, hey, this is a great place to not only learn the code, but also to build friendships and connections as well.
Yeah. Is the last component of this, when you're talking about the viral components of the, like, telling other kids, I feel like you should encourage them. Are you doing anything? Is it just like these status reports of parents like, oh my God, I'm so proud. And so we're like forwarding off to our, like, maybe our parents and then our friends. Or are you kind of just saying like, hey, share this on social media? Do you guys do anything to encourage people to share out all that stuff? Or is it just like, build these features? Human psychology says they're most likely to share this out.
Yeah. No, we do that. But one of the things that we've been doing is that really works well is we create these different competitions and contests around coding, and we call it code jams, and it's around different themes, whether it's summer, and generally during the holidays. That's when kids have more time, and it's a way, for kids to create different projects around different themes, and then we get other people in the community to rate these different projects, and it's kind of like the that's how the whole community kind of gets more involved into it, and so they create projects, they share it, internally and externally, and they're encouraged to share it externally, because then they get more of their friends and family to sort of vote for those projects, and it kind of creates that flywheel, and naturally encourages them, because ultimately there's prizes and rewards to be won. But I think, I mean, what we found, as much as, kids love, earning like gift cards and different coins, it's just, the thing that's priceless is generally, like, when we read, a lot of the feedback is just, just seeing their parents telling them how they're proud of them doing a great job, or their friends saying, wow, that was so cool, how did you do that?
Yeah. I know my past guest, she was like sending out, it was a subscription model monthly, and then every month, I mean, it's a pain in the butt, she would send out it was called 99 walks, but they would send out a bracelet with the month's theme, and they would send out physical products. Lomit, I love trophies, so I'm always like, all right, give me a badge, digital badge, but you know what, it's cool, like having a little trophy too. And so it kind of reminds me of that, these rewards that we all want. Yeah, cool. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah, go for it.
I would love to like send like physical certificates to kids, but that's something maybe for the future.
Maybe. All right. Well, Lomit needs some help. If you guys got a dad joke, put it in the comments, and then he can read it off. But we're going to get into the app audit section of our show, and we like to start off every app audit with some dad jokes. All right, Lomit, since you don't got one, I got one for you. I think I got some pretty good ones here. Let's see. Okay. Uh, all right, Lomit, here we go. Ready to go. Okay, the button's ready. All right, Lomit, I grilled the chicken for 2 hours. I don't eat meat anymore, but okay. I grilled the chicken for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It still wouldn't tell me why it crossed the road. There you go. All right. Yeah. Where's Ricardo when I need him? So if anybody's got a dad joke that wants to compete with me, put it in the comments and I'll read it off too. Then we're going to take a look at Bruno's app. Bruno is love to have him on in the future, but he's got a AI assistant app and he's got, let me look at how to rank faster. I did all
Steve, I
this.
was going to say, I found one joke
Oh,
on
okay. Please.
GPT. You want me to say it?
Yes, please.
All right. It might have been said before. I don't know. But why don't skeletons fight each other?
Why don't skeletons fight each other? Why?
Yeah. Because they don't have the guts.
I like it. Okay, good. Thank you, Lomit. Love it. All right, try to find another one. We do a couple of rounds. All right, put L if you thought Lomit's joke was better, and then put S if you can remember what I said with my joke, and then we'll play for dinner. All right, Lomit.
All
We'll
right.
have some fun with it. All right, back to Bruno's app. He said, "Hey, Steve, I want help to rank my keywords faster. I did all the secrets. I know the Mexico keywords, but I can't grow to the top." Okay, cool. We can talk about ASO, but anything on the App Store presence, Lomit, that you want to talk about here?
I mean, generally, when I look at App Store, and I think most people, in terms of where the attention usually goes is around social validation, right? Like, and reviews and ratings, and I think it seems like they, the ratings and reviews seem pretty decent on this.
Yeah, it's 1.4.
Then it's a matter of like looking at the screens. I don't think most people read a lot, right? So it's all visual, right? And then it's like the screens, like what's really popping up, and I think the way they're kind of using the headlines is pretty nice.
Yes.
The difference is, like, if you look at these screens versus a lot of the other ones, that generally sort of encourage you to kind of look from left to right. It kind of bleeds in, right? And maybe there could be a little bit more bleeding from one screen to another. That kind of encourages you to keep looking.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
And then I think shout out to Yelena. I think he did a great thing with Headway. I watched that one a couple of weeks back. But the other thing that we found too is the app size. So one of the things that we did, like, our app used to be over 100 megabytes, and it caused a lot of issues, especially with people outside of like the US wanting to download the app. And now that we optimized the app and had it below 100, we've seen a surge of like downloads happen. So I'm not sure what that app size was for this one.
No, that's a great tip.
Look at.
Yeah, I don't actually think about it that much, but we had a client that went over because we had a brand new version, and then we've been running ads successfully in India, and it just like a cost per acquisition just shot up since the new version and going. I think it's above 200 or something. I have to look, but yeah, pay attention to the app size. It is important. Stay under 100 if you can.
Yeah, and then another thing, it's like in terms of like price points, right? In terms of in-app purchases, there I sort of see. There's like weekly, annual, monthly. Point being, and I can just give you the, Tynker's example. We used to have a whole series of like these different plans. Like, there's a plan for mobile, there was a plan for web, there's a plan for, like quarterly, annually, blah, blah, blah. And what we found is it just complicates people, because it's like there's too many choices. And we've just really simplified going to a unified subscription that works across mobile and web. Pretty much like simplifying the price points. The only difference being, like, on web, we offer like a quarterly subscription, annual subscription, and a lifetime subscription. On mobile, for the most part, we just offer the quarterly and monthly, because for the most part, what we find is a lot of people come into mobile to get started, and then it's really up to us to encourage them to kind of experience the entire Tynker experience across platforms. And that's why we've for the most part kind of focus on just like two different tiers here versus showing everything. And I'm thinking in this app that we're looking at, if you just simplify kind of the tiers on the two price options, I think that would make it a lot easier, because the key is really just getting them in first, right? Once you get them in, you always could, because the other thing that we do is that we have, found ways to, based on usage and engagement, to really prompt them to upgrade or upsell them into longer tiered plans. But the key, but the key is really to remove the friction to get them in the first place, or else we do some of those things that are similar to what I think Elena talked about in terms of like discounts and stuff. But the way we kind of went about it, and I'm not sure if Headway did the same thing, is that we continue to actually raise our prices. Last year, we raised our prices to really kind of figure out, what's the optimal price points that we could charge without negatively impacting our business, and then using different forms of discounting to try and give more of an incentive to users to purchase quickly.
I love that. Cool. One thing I wanted to highlight was the fact that you said what was it? Oh, I can't remember. I should have wrote it down. I tend to write
simplifying
it down.
the tiers.
Oh no, the upselling.
Oh yeah.
I love
on
that.
Usage, we prompt people to sort of upgrade to the next tiers.
Yeah, I love that. I did that with Calm. I mean, I don't know if they're this smart, but they gave me a lifetime offer for half off, right? It was like $300 lifetime offer. And it happened to be the time when my annual was about to renew. And then they gave me a 7-day sale, made me check out online. And on the last day, I ended up buying the 150. And no offense to you, Calm, but I don't use Calm to meditate anymore. I've just moved everything to Peloton. But yeah, they got the best out of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I got the allergies. The smoke is bad. The air quality in the Bay Area is
really
bad
right out there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get. One thing I would say. So Bruno asked about keywords. Bruno, what I would do, and Bruno and I are working together, but we have to change this. But anyways, we build for the outcome. So if you got any AI apps, look, I'm not trying to compete with all the big, ChatGPT type of apps like Ask AI. We got the official ChatGPT app. We got Genie. So I'm not trying to compete. For me personally, when I'm building an AI app, no matter what the category is, I try to build for the outcome. And so there's good keywords around like essay writer, or, things like maybe I saw here, job offers, cover letters. So resume builder, I know that's a great keyword. So could you be like resume builder AI instead of assistant AI, right? I feel like, Lomit, AI is the next .com, right? Everybody wanted the .com. It's so cool to have .com. I feel like blank AI, like start sitting on those keywords, because I feel like it's just gonna be the future.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you in terms of like, the more you focus on outcomes, that's ultimately what people want, right? In terms of what they're looking. I mean, any product is really a means to that end. So the more you can sort of focus on keywords that ultimately is to what you said, the potential outcomes that people are looking for, then that's going to at least get them more excited to take a look, because it's for the most part, I mean, the app store is crowded. It's people are just going to scan through different things that come up. So it's really a matter of trying to win the popularity based on what they really want versus what they think they need to look for to get to that outcome.
Yeah, and Bruno, I love this paywall, but I think there needs to be an onboarding experience, just a couple of screens just to remind users what they can get, the outcomes like we just talked about too. And Lomit, on the outcome side, when you get more niche with the outcome, like you guys are learning to code, it's the higher the conversions, right? If you start with very high generic keywords, like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out meditation, but if instead you go like deep breathing or like soundscapes, and you rank for that, soundscape's going to be higher conversions in terms of subscription than it would be if you were going after like meditation or some generic keyword.
Yeah. Another thing that we found doing onboarding, and we tested this, but but just put in a kind of a short video in there, just showing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really worked well for us, because for the most part, I mean, you can kind of put in, messages around the benefits, but what we found was just kind of put in a video and some of those social validations around, different the awards and stuff that we've gotten. That tends to work pretty well, and it could be something for Bruno to try.
Past guest friend of mine, Josh, who is the founder of created the Miracle Morning app. He said the same thing. Hal Elrod obviously wrote the book, but Lomit, Lean AI, okay, having a video with the author really helps them too get that engagement, because obviously there's that personal feel like, holy shit, I'm talking to Lomit Patel from Lean AI. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember being at the event when they were talking, when he was talking about kind of the Miracle Morning. I think the key thing there definitely is the affinity of the community that they've built around the author, right, and the users.
Yeah, look, it's working. And so I guess Bruno, you got like I got 5. It looks like 5 chats for free. I don't know. One of the things I know, this is more features that I'm thinking about too. So I love the ad right here that he has, and I think it's important. I don't know, it's just my opinion. As an indie developer, I think it's important to have ads. My friend Moyo said, like, he doesn't make much from ad revenue, but the ad revenue that he does make, he uses it to run his advertising to get downloads for the app. And I was like, that's brilliant, because obviously subscription is going to be higher. And then secondly, it gives us the opportunity to make the ads for free and run an app advice campaign, and getting those downloads, turning those downloads into reviews, good users, and potentially more revenue there too. But
does he offer a free trial?
Yeah, he does. It's a 3-day trial right here.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious, like, because I know, free trials vary by different lengths. I've never, like Steve, I don't know if obviously you have a lot of experience. Do these free 3-day trials generally work? I know people do it for like 48 hours, shorter time frame.
Right.
What I found was, ideally just give them or at least what we found was, I mean, we had like 30, 14, but 7 days tend to be kind of a sweet spot, because for the most part, and it depends on the audience. I mean, the kids, they're not going to get started right away, right? Most people are going to use it over the weekend. So you want to give them enough time to at least get started into it. So I'm not sure if, with this audience, if 3 days is good, or if you want to maybe try expanding that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it depends. I've seen 7 mostly, generally speaking, work the best. The other one is 3 for like weekly offers. Obviously, this is a ChatGPT app, so there are costs to every interaction I have, so I can see why he's trying to limit the amount of free days you get. But yes, I have found that usually speaking, 7 days is the best, and then 3 I've seen work pretty well for different apps, and especially if you're going to do a weekly offer and you're trying to promote the weekly offer. 3 days is usually the best for that. Okay. All right, Lomit. That's good. All right, Lomit, you found ChatGPT, and we got 2 to 1. All right, I would like more votes, but all right, I'll settle for the 3 votes that we got. You win round 1, my friend. Good for you. All right, while you think of the next joke, we got, hey, Steve, can you tell me if keywords used in metadata and in subscription promotion on the App Store count as repeated keywords? You have any insight on this, Lomit? Like, if you name your subscriptions with the keywords that you're trying to rank for versus just calling that monthly subscription, does that impact the repeating keywords at all?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Generally what I mean, what we found is, if you kind of use kind of the keywords in the metadata or the description or in the name, you don't have to kind of repeat it in other places.
Yeah, I mean, GG. I don't know for sure if it counts as repeating or if it just helps. In my anecdotal data, I feel like it actually helps versus hurts. So I would do it if I were you. It's low-hanging fruit. It's easy to implement. So I would do it personally. All right. right, let's go into round two. Lomit, you got another one? Another joke for us?
Let me ask Chat GPT.
Okay, I'll go first then, my friend.
All
I'm
right.
lost. All right, Mary, come on, hook me up again. All right, here we go. Where's my other one? All right. All right, here's a good one. I feel very confident about this one.
Yeah.
Lomit, a storm blew away 25% of my roof last night. Now I only got an oof. I'm done. All right, there you go. Okay, what do you got?
All right. Why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Why?
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Hey, you even like, you're like,
You gotta give dads a break, right? There's a lot of other things, I mean, being a dad, there's a lot of other things in your mind than just having jokes.
I love it. All right. We got who is the person? I forgot to say this is Nick's app. Oh, if you guys want us to look at your app in a future live stream, there's a little bit of a wait, but just go to appmasters.com/audit, appmasters.com/audit. If you want to sit down with an hour with me, same link. Go to appmasters.com/audit. I had like 2 different calls yesterday, an hour, just really breaking it down. So
Yeah.
shout out to you, Gio, and Nato for our call last night. All right, cool. So this Nick wants to know, hey, like everything, Lomit, help me increase downloads, help me increase subscriptions. So where do you want to start?
So this one I thought this one I thought was pretty exciting as well, because it's like an ed tech app, right? And generally, a lot of these like flashcard stuff, it's a great way for kids to learn. Not sure in terms of like who the audience is here, but I think in the app screens you could definitely make it a little bit more compelling and make it pop. For one thing, maybe just using people kind of in one of those screens, showing some happy people on that, I think could be interesting. That logo, for the most part, I mean,
Oh yeah.
Doesn't kind of pop as much. So and Steve, you know how important app icons are, right? The reviews, I think, for the most part, was over 4 stars, right?
Yeah.
But do they have a lot of reviews? I don't think they do, right?
They have only 8
Yeah,
in the
that's what
US.
I'm thinking. So one of the things to try and do, I mean, ultimately, if there are people using it, I mean, just try to prompt the ones that are engaged with the product to write more reviews. I think outside of the ratings, people look at like the number of reviews you have too, right? To try and come up with some kind of context about, hey, is this app, popular or is it new? Outside of the app screens, I didn't really look at the app size again. I mean, that's another one. But
5.2. It's
and
5.2.
then
It's very low.
no, that's nice. And then in terms of like the different options, I think is it like a subscription app or something, right? At the bottom.
Yeah.
It seemed like
We'll
there
get
were
into the
multiple tiers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is, look, personally, unless you're ranking well for, let me just double check. Are you ranking well for indexed? Yeah, you're not. So, and there's already an index, this one. So I would give up on any type of branding in the beginning of my, until I'm trying to get it going. Right now, 8 reviews. So I'm going to say, assume, Nick, that you're just trying to get it going. I'd go all in on Flashcards Maker, right? And just call it that and just call it by itself. That's it. I'm really digging, going back to 2019 Lomit, and I'm going exact match for the titles. Don't care anymore, especially if you're
Yeah.
trying to win on an ASO level and you don't have, Lomit's marketing budget and you're just trying to get free downloads. Go exact match, call it exactly what you want, and clap Flashcards Maker, because that's what the app does. Easily create custom flashcards on the go, study cards. I would also, if it's study cards or flashcards, like keep it the same. If the ASO says it's flashcards because you have it in the title, call it flashcards rather than study cards. You want to make it big and bold. I don't like the font here. I feel like it's harder to read, but you want to make it big and bold to make sure that people understand, hey, I'm searching for Flashcards Maker. And guess what? If you put in, easy flashcard maker or #1 flashcard maker, guess what? They're going to tap on it as the first screenshot. Because as you know, in the app stores, this is what we see. We see the app name, but we see the screenshots. And my eye always goes to the screenshots because that's just where my eye goes. But that's a great way to do it. And if you have flashcards maker in the title and you have flashcards maker here, people are going to feel like, oh, you are a great flashcards maker app. So that's how I would start doing this there. And then what I would do is, because there are some, I don't know if it's just for study time. So maybe even think about like, if you're trying to grow downloads just through Apple search ads, think about study timer, like things around studying that people might be going after. From what I can see on app follow, when I put in flashcards, this is just how I feel about the keyword. The number 3 app only has 181 reviews. So again, he's got the exact match, unlike you, Index, Nick. So that's why I would go all in, because then, they're number 3 right behind Quizlet and this other one. This other one's, going all in on the keyword, no brand. So that's why I would do it if you don't have a big marketing budget. If you do, great, build that brand. It's important so that your brand keyword search volume goes up. And if it goes up, it becomes another driver for you versus just relying on the generic term. So, all right, let's get into the app. This is supposed to be 15 minutes for the. Okay. Again. Where's the onboarding? We talked about this. Rewind. Yeva's going to be really mad. There's no onboarding here. Have some onboarding experiences. Remind people. Maybe even, what do you think? Maybe allow them to create that first cool flashcard during the onboarding. Get them to engage. What are you? Are you a student? Just like Tynker was like, hey, are you a parent? Are you a student? Are you an educator? Right? Like, figure that stuff out, because in my opinion, Lomit, it gives you data. So if you find that like, hey, parents, around this area, maybe they ask for age. I know certain people ask for age. I think Headway might ask for age, but like, yeah, ask for it, because then it informs your advertising. So if you go on Meta and you go, hey, find me parents, dudes in the Bay Area around 40, then perfect. And Tynker knows that data. They're more likely to convert. But that's what I would do. And you got to work on this paywall, Nick. It's butt ugly. Whoop. Sorry. Nobody wants to subscribe. Like, there's looks like there's no free trials here. You got to have a free trial. Lomit said it too. You got to have a free trial. I mean, keep it on the paywall if I hit X out of that too. But you just went here, and I don't know. This needs a little bit of work from a UI perspective. Go ahead, Lomit.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things you said, but yeah, for the most part, if it's appealing to like students or whatever, you got to try and make it look exciting, right? And I think for the most part, it's going to be like it would be good to have a free trial, right? Most people aren't going to kind of pay up front, and just play up. I think getting some kind of like award or some form of like social validation would be good to sort of play that up. I mean, it would be great to sort of say tens and thousands of kids are using this, whatever, right? I mean, if you can say something like that,
that's the answer.
Would be the answer. Yeah.
What are some ASO secrets? I'm not sharing that right now. I just created a flashcard for just listening to the podcast version of it, and then upgrade to add more tasks. I like how he limits it, but I think I would have a trial, quick little trial, maybe a 3-day trial, because it's so inexpensive anyways, and then do the lifetime offer. I would just have that on the board. What I've been talking about too, Lomit, did the discounting. I feel like that first time user experience is the most important. So have a discount during that first time user experience, because that's when people buy. So yeah, that's the best time to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the benefits. If you get them in with a free trial, you can kind of within that free trial period, give them the option with a compelling discount to convert quickly.
You got the Gardner there. I can hear it. I love it. All right, Nick. Hey, to be honest with you, man, Nick, like, work on the designs. The designs are a little bit dated, in my opinion. And then, figure out the onboarding, figure out the paywall, figure out the keywords, but a little bit, I might put design as a lower priority, but I do think it's a priority, like, work on the downloads. Like, there's no point in having a beautiful app if you're, if you have no downloads. So work on the downloads first and then fix the designs once you get the downloads. That makes a suggestion. Okie doke. Lomit. Anything we missed? Let me look at my notes. Anything we missed that you want to make sure we cover?
No, I think we covered the.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other questions in the audience or something.
Yeah, if you guys got it. Oh, it's here. Scott. Sorry, Scott. And then Luis says, love the colors, but the font family is SS. Kind of difficult to read. Is the SS. What's the SS mean? Don't know. Scott Williams says, hey, Steve, is it better for ASO to name your app after the keywords you're targeting? If I had a meditation app, would it call Meditation Plus Plus or something similar in ASO? Yeah, it would help. Like if you look up sleep for right now, there's an app called Sleep. And I'm going to talk to Martin from the podcast app, and we're going to talk about that too. But yeah, it is. Scott, obviously, I wouldn't go after meditation, call it plus plus. But yes, that's a great example. Personally, I'm doing that. SS screenshots. Got it. My bad. Peter says, what paid ad platform did you get the best returns?
It depends, but for the most part, I've always found like Google or Facebook, depending on different audiences. And when I did a lot of paid previously, even like Snapchat and TikTok were good.
Did you?
But I was going to say the key with paid is really to try and ideally, if you can, is to sort of not think about what's working now, but think about like 18 months to 24 months, like what's starting to get hot. That could be hot, in a couple of years. And ironically, and Steve, I know you've had a couple of people from my team from IMVU, whatever, talking about stuff. But one of the things, when we were there early, was really because paid was like a big driver, and the idea was to really figure out, who's our audience that we're going after. For the most part, we're like Gen Zs, and at that time, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, was getting pretty expensive. And the question is, what were the most emerging apps to potentially look at? Ironically, I mean, those things come from just either asking your customers or even just talking to like if you have young kids or teenagers, like where you're hanging out, where you're spending time. And that's how I really got to find out about things like, Snapchat and TikTok, and then just kind of, reach out to people through LinkedIn if you have some, connections. And for the most part, any company that's sort of building a freemium type of product needs to figure out a monetization strategy sooner or later, whether it's going to be for advertising or subscriptions. And so, having those conversations early, and when they start to put out a beta version of that, you can get onto that beta. And that's what we did at IMVU. So, what I would say is right now, ultimately, with paid, the challenge isn't just doing paid, but it's measurement. That's the piece that's the hardest. It's like, come up with a attribution systems that you trust, not only that you trust, but you can convince other people in your company to get behind, right? So then, you can sort of validate, whatever your cost to acquire a customer is, your return on ad spend. But beyond that, based on the type of audiences you're going after, look at other platforms outside of what's really popular today that you can maybe get into early or be part of some betas that they're working on. Yeah,
I like that. For Google, when you said Google, was it Google for iOS downloads or Google for Google downloads?
So both. I mean, we did it for Android and that at that time, they were getting really early into iOS, so we were able to sort of work on the iOS side as well. Yeah,
I like it. All right. That's a great way. Oh, Lomit. I might have to do round 3 because I won. We only get 2 votes, so all right. Cool.
Okay.
But Joe says, does anybody know of an app, Google Play equivalent of Apps Gone Free? Joe, there is one. There are apps. If you Google Apps Gone Free on Google Play, you'll find a bunch of apps. I don't have a good relationship with anyone there, but you might go to Reddit, subreddit called the App Hookup, and they do Android apps. They're primarily iOS apps, but you can do Android on App Hookup. there too. Okay, Lomit, you got the last joke, and we'll end it with that. You got one more in you?
Let me
Okay, you chat GPT. All right, I got one more. Okay. All right, I'll go first. My cell phone, Lomit, my cell phone actually took a 10-minute video of my shoes yesterday. It was some pretty good footage. There you go.
All right. You ready for my last one?
Yes.
Why did the bicycle fall over?
Why?
Because it was too tired.
Oh. All right. All right, come on. Last votes. Put L if you thought Lomit's joke was better. I did personally think it's better. And put S if you thought my joke was better. And then we're playing for dinner on the loser. Now, if you want to learn more about what's going on with Lomit, look, he's an influencer. He writes a lot of great content. You can check out all his articles on Forbes if you just look for his name, Lomit Patel, or you can go to lomitpatel.com. And obviously, I'm going to sign up because I want my kids to code. But if you want to get your kids to start coding and learning about the benefits, shoot, even if they don't become a developer, I feel like it's a useful skill to have because it makes it easy for me to talk to developers. Well, check out Tynker with the Y, tynker.com. All right. Lewis says L. So, okay, Lomit, I owe you dinner. That was a great joke. And then Peter said he loved that answer. So I know Luke's in there. We're going to clip that up into its own little clip. Lomit, if the audience wants to connect with you in any other way, do you want to send them anywhere else?
Best way to connect is, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I definitely, will get back to you there. And
nice. You will, promise, huh?
I will. I always do my best. And I'm happy to give you my email at Tynker too. If anybody's got any questions or whatever, it's pretty easy. It's lpatel@tynker.com. So there's two ways to get hold of me.
lpatel@tynker.com. All right. Louis says, thank you, Lomit and Steve. I love today's episode. And Joe says, yes, thanks, Steve. Is that a subreddit that we as publishers can post to? Yeah, Joe, you missed it, bro. But like, if you look at the live a couple of weeks ago, we talked all about how do you like sort of growth hack Reddit. And we talked about this, but reach out to the essentially short of it all. You can post it yourself. Reach out to one of the moderators, let him know what you're trying to do. And then here, Joe, you can see here's a price drop on this Android. Then they'll approve it. And then you can post it yourself as well. Or you can get one of your friends to do it. But yeah, it's the Nile broke it down, but he said, reach out to the moderator, ask the moderator first. Because then they're very strict on this. They'll delete a lot of crap on there. All right. Mary says great stuff. Lomit, thank you so much for coming on. Next week, we got Martin, who's the CEO of the podcast app, and they got a new app that's going to help you sleep as well. And so we're going to talk all about how he's been able to grow. Like really, like I find it very successful because he ranked #1 for podcasts. I don't know if they're still #1 for when you search for podcasts. He was like pretty much podcast app. If you search for that, he's definitely #1 for that as well. So we're going to break down his growth strategy, how he's been able to like really build a great business behind it. But join us every Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific. We'll be live on YouTube, and the audio version goes out on Monday mornings. Lomit, thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
Thanks, Steve, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you guys for watching, for listening, for you those live. You guys have my heart, okay? Forget the other people that just watch replay. You guys that show up live have my heart. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you next Friday. Bye.